thing about tarps is they are your shelter and your protection when you're hammock camping, or whether you're just laying on the ground like a worm on a hot sidewalk. Now, hammocks can be confusing enough on their own, but a lot of people get perplexed when they get to the tarp. Nowadays, there's a lot more two-tarping. Two-tarping. That is my hippie name, two-tarping. Namaste. First off, we're going to talk about the tarp and porch mode. Found out that there's a lot of people that never did any tarp camping. What is wrong with them? They've never tarp camped? So right now this tarp is pitched in porch mode, meaning one end up is a little bit higher, so I can sit in my hammock, which by the way is my Warbonnet Blackbird hammock, and my Franken-quilt underquilt underneath, and I can sit out underneath and still have a view outside, whether it's a storm or a lovely day. I much prefer tarp mode over a lot of modes. Seems to be the way I set mine up the most. You're going to need your hiking poles or sticks or something to raise it up. Sticks work just fine. We come on the back side of the tarp, and I just have it rigged down in regular tarp mode. Now, the main thing you're going to need in tarp mode is your hiking pole or a stick from the woods and a little bit of a longer guy line to go out. You can run the guy line from your stick or hiking pole way out, but what'll happen is you'll get some lift off the ground when the wind blows. Now, I've shortened mine up a good bit, and that does not raise up too much when the wind blows. Just spend the night in a storm out in the dark, scary piney woods. Oh dear, oh the deer poo, and you'll know what I mean. I've got this end, which is my entrance normally, that's the foot end of my hammock, a little bit higher than this end down here. That way the water won't collect and it will run right off down this way. Now, I slept out here last night in a big crazy storm. We had rain, thunder, lightning all night, getting ready for an upcoming backpacking trip to an undisclosed location, but a location not a lot of people go in video, it seems, because I can't find any video on it, and I've been up there a long time ago, but I haven't been up there in a while, so it's time to get back up there again. The dimensions of this tarp are 10.5 feet across the ridge line, which is that very top part, and from here to the other side on the back, it is 3.5 feet on each side, so that equals 7. I made this tarp out of sil nylon, and I wanted it kind of small. I wanted the sides a little bit short because I like to lay in the woods in porch mode, and that way I get a little view. And my favorite thing to do is lay in porch mode in a storm. I'll be sitting in my hammock just watching the rain fall out in the woods. Now, normally a tarp is pitched down like this, called A-frame mode. That's probably how you want to pitch it in a storm, or most people pitch theirs like this for privacy as well, because one thing, you lose a little privacy when you're in porch mode. Speaking of guylines, and have I spoken of them yet? No, I haven't. People often ask on the four corners, what is a good length for your guylines? Well, that's up to you. What I normally do is use about 4 to 6 feet on the back side, and sometimes the same in the front, and I carry little pieces that I can add to it, which I'll show you when I get time. If you'll just be patient, I'll get there, because I can't do it all at once, because I just thought about showing you, so I just mentioned it, now I got to do it. But I would say in the front, you know, if this is normally the side you're going to use, and that's something you're going to have to figure out, because you'll always set it up backwards, and your long lines will be on the other side of where you wanted them, but you just take them off and put them on the other side. That's part of tarping. Have it a little bit longer, and that way you can set up in the porch mode, because you need a little bit more line. So let's do some porch mode right now. I pull up my stick, take my hiking stick, and what I like to do is just wrap my line on it one time. But because it's windy, I'm going to go a little short. You don't want to go this short. Maybe about that angle right there. I come down to my stake. I'm going to pull my stake. I'm going to grab my hiking pole. And I'm going to wrap once or twice, 3 times, lady. And you can see here, if I come out long, I have a lot less tension on the line, but I'm going to show you something here. You'll notice that this will flop up and down a lot easier if the wind comes up under there, and you'll often get that thing happening. I hate when that happens. So I would recommend on a windy day coming in a little closer at an angle something like that. Tie my marlin spike, which I'll slow down for you in a second. Stake that in. Shug of the dirty fingers. Let's cover that marlin spike hitch. What I'm going to do, put my finger down and make a loop up like this, with this crossing here. Maybe this is because I'm left-handed, I don't know. Then I'm going to put my fingers through there and come up and grab this so that I have this like that. Let's repeat. Pinch it, loop over the top right here. Bring your fingers through as you bring this up, pull the top line through, put your stake in there, pull that, and stick into the ground. Nice thing is when you take this out, you pull your stake out and the knot comes right out. Oh, like a magician. Flip, roll, in, lock, bang, step. Voila, the Porch mode. Sometimes I like to call it veranda mode. I like to sit on the veranda with Miranda. She's not my wife. Hey, you know what I haven't done with you in a while? I have not done this to you. 3 flowers were made for blooming. 3 stars were made to shine. 3 women were made for loving. Little Maggie was made to be mine. And right here you'll notice that I have what's called a tensioner on there, a piece of shock cord. But what happens with that, and we're going to cover this later, if my tarp loosens up, which it often will in certain weather, this line right here, which is a spectra line, commonly known as spear no tangle line, will slacken, but the shock cord will keep my tarp tight. Alright, I want to show you here what the tarp tensioner looks like. Let's pretend that is the corner of the tarp and you have your line with some shock cord there. And when you set your cord, you pull it so that it's as tight as the shock cord. And as the tarp loosens up, which still nylon will, this happens. Alright, and that keeps your tarp tight. I gotta hurry, the cops are coming. Now on these tarp tensioners, this is not something I invented. No, me, Shug of the third person, Shug, Shuggity, Shug, did not invent this. I actually learned it on hammockforums.net. That's right, hammockforums.net. If you want some information on tarps, hammocks, anything to do with hammocks, and anything how to do pitching a tarp over a hammock with all the most modern techniques, I mean techniques that I'm not even going to cover here in this, because what I'm going to show you is just pretty much what I do, because that's how mine's set up. Maybe a couple of other things. But go there and do some research. Research on your own. It's the best way to learn. Remember, failure is an option. If you fail, then you will remember the lesson. That's right. Goof it up once or twice, and it will lock in your brain, and the next time, you'll know what to do. Believe me, I am the pharaoh of failure. What we're going to do, we got our shock cord standing by. That's about a 9.5 inch piece of shock cord. I think it's 1/8 inch. I'm just going to say it's 1/8 inch. I have the ends of it burned, so it does have just a little bit of a ridge there, and that's very helpful. I'm going to make that first little loop like this. See that? It's just crossing over that way. I'm going to pinch it. I'm going to make it a little bigger just for the purposes here. I'm going to pinch it and hold it there. Grab my other end. I'm going to twist this so that it comes over and it crosses in front of itself. Alright, so this one, this end is running behind, this end is running in front, and then that goes right behind that. Double loops. Boom. Then I insert the shock cord and I will pull that in together And that little knot right there, my friends, will be enough to hold that. Now we'll go down to the other end. We'll throw some slack in, and we'll repeat that whole process. I'll make my loop. I'll make my second loop, tuck it behind, put my shock cord in, pull it tight. Yeah, this little version right here, I learned it from Head Change for You on Hammock Forums. Was a tutorial there on that. And that, my friend, so I'll pull that snug. And there you go. Your shock cord tensioner. I think they're great on sil nylon. I actually use mine on my Cuban tarps too. Bang. So coming up in the next parts of this series, we'll look at some of my Cuban tarps too. That's my Cuban tarp without flaps. This would be called sort of the Cuban tarp with flaps, and this is my winter tarp that I use that has Velcro doors. It's made of sil nylon. I have it rigged up for a pole mod. It's a heavier duty tarp that I trust in the snow. These are so light, it feels like I'm holding nothing in my hand. They're expensive, but if you're really looking to save weight, then they're worth the cost. If you're just getting started in camping or hammocking, you may just want to go with something like a sil nylon tarp right there. If you'll look down in the description box below this video, you know where that is, right? Just take your eyeballs, move down under the video, and it says about the video or whatever. There'll be some links in there. I'll even put the links of making your own tarp if you want, and as much info. I will not do a video on how to make a tarp. I repeat, I will not do a video on how to make a tarp, because there'd be a lot of cussing. Oh yeah, be a lot of colorful expletives going on there. And I don't think I'll ever make another one. I've done my tarp building, I proved to myself I can do it, and now there's so many great tarp vendors out there that I will just buy from them, because my time is valuable, because you know I got some napping to do. On the next part of this series, we'll start covering rigging the tarp. We're just going to go over some tarp stuff, and hopefully when you get out there and rig your tarp, you'll have a good idea of where to start, and then from then on it's just finding out what you like to do, how you like to rig your tarp, what your favorite way is, how to center it over your hammock, blah 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 ad infinitum. Diddly dee, diddly do, sha sha sha. All this chatter makes me thirsty.
I love a Yoo-hoo juice box. Yoo-hoo!
Just gonna sit out here in porch mode, have me some boiled peanuts. I was down in North Carolina for a short spell. Got me some raw peanuts. Came up here and boiled me some, because here in Minnesota, they don't know about the boiled peanut. Most of them don't care for it. It's the ultimate lollygag. You got to sit around and work them. All secure in Sector 7.